Welcome to the Mycotoxin Prediction Forecast brought to you by Biomin, the world leader in mycotoxin management. This week we will look into the predicted risk for mycotoxin contaminations in European winter wheat. The dominant mycotoxins on wheat and other small grain cereals are Deoxynivalenol and Zearalenone, produced by Fusarium graminearum or culmorum, both overwintering crop debris on the field, and spores reach the flowering wheat ear via splash water, wind and rain dispersal. Affected spikelets are bleached and developing kernels are shriveled and wilted. Wet weather during Anthesis is critical for successful onset of Fusarium head blight, and it is strongly correlated, among other factors, with higher levels of mycotoxins in the harvests. Our prediction model therefore uses weather as the main indicator for future mycotoxin contaminations. Wheat is grown practically everywhere in Europe. Plants start flowering as early as April in Sicily and parts of Andalusia, and Anthesis progresses further within the next weeks to southern and coastal regions of the Iberian Peninsula, Italy, up to the south of France and coastal regions along the eastern Mediterranean Sea. In May, we expect winter wheat to start flowering in central Spain and more northern regions of France and Italy, as well as in Greece. Crops that flowered in early April were planted in the southernmost regions of Spain and Sicily. These regions saw little to no rain in this period, similar to coastal regions of Greece. In the same period, only a few days of rain with more than 2 hours worth of precipitation hit southern and coastal regions of France and the Italian coastline. Compared to last year, early April was substantially drier in Sicily and southern Spain, but more rain hit the Croatian coastline and Sardinia, leading to a higher relative risk for mycotoxin contaminations in flowering crops in these regions. Late April it became much wetter all over Europe, with up to 10 days of rain in coastal growing regions and at least 4 or 5 rain days in most other regions. Compared to last year, this late April isn't particularly different, with the exceptions of southern France, where heavy rains in 2020 are now being followed by intermediate precipitation of about 5 days of rain in inland regions. More rain is forecast for early May, in particular those regions where crops are also predicted to enter Anthesis at this time. 5 to 9 days worth of rain are to be expected for the Iberian Peninsula, in particular the Atlantic coastline and Portugal, as well as for central and northern Italy. Up to 12 rain days of this 2 weeks period are forecast for central France and adjacent southern and western coastal regions. In contrast, for Greece, no rain is to be expected in this period. In late May, rainfall will persist in Italy and extend through most of the Balkan down to Greece. Rain will subside almost completely in France and large regions of Spain, with substantial precipitation predicted only for the regions around Madrid. The Biomin Mycotoxin Prediction tool uses 15 factors that incorporate global hourly weather data and the effect these factors have on the plant, fungi and mycotoxin production, together with the historic data of the Biomin Mycotoxin Survey. Shown here are risk levels as the percentage likelihood that a crop will be over a certain threshold for selected mycotoxins. With much of the weather yet to unfold, our current forecast predicts relative lower risk for deoxynivalenol contamination in central Spain as well as the Atlantic coastal regions of France. High risk is predicted in contrast for the Mediterranean coastal regions of France and Italy. And also regions around Valencia and Andalusia in Spain are predicted to be exposed to high contaminations. The overall risk for major European countries is generated based on a weighted risk average depending on crop yields. Currently, deoxynivalenol risk remains highest in the south of Europe, with moderate risk in northern and eastern European countries, and intermediate levels are predicted for Central Europe. Risk for zearalenone is in general lower and coincides mostly with the prevalence of deoxynivalenol. On a regional scale, the relative highest risk is predicted for northern countries. In the selected southern regions, the predicted risks are moderate for most regions, with the exception of some coastal regions, in particular southern France and Italy, that are exposed to higher risks of zearalenone. Keep tuned in for our European mycotoxin prediction and occurrence updates as the wheat growing year unfolds.